Faith, family, and forever. How Black couples in midlife are leaving a marriage legacy that honors God.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Marriage Hacks with Joseph,
and Miriam.
with real talk
Real solutions.
for a healthy, thriving marriage.
Okay, y'all, let's discover the inspiring legacy of love being built by a middle aged Black couple whose enduring marriage stands as a testament to faith, resilience, and commitment. Our story reveals how intentional love, shared values, and spiritual unity can create a generational impact. One that empowers families, strengthens communities, and leaves a lasting blueprint for a healthy relationship.
All right, so we're going to start with our scripture. Now, we used this same scripture last time, and this is Romans 5, 3, verses 3 through 5, and the actual scripture that I'm going to be reading from King James. I know on the screen is you're going to see the NIV, I believe. But it says, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts. And let me change the screen back. And I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to make sure I said that we're going to be talking a lot about marriage within the Black community. This is not leaving any of our audience out that is not from the Black community. It's still going to apply. You can take this information and still apply it to your marriage, but I felt necessary for us to kind of niche down just a little bit, to speak from our personal experience and the things that directly affect the Black family unit, okay, or marriage. And I wanted to list some statistics. As of the most recent reliable data, primarily from the U.S. Census Bureau, CDC, and Pew Research Center. Here's a breakdown of marriage failure.
Talking about divorce.
By
and
race.
separation.
Yeah, divorce and separation by race in the United States. Okay, so according to the research, it says that the Black African American is the highest, which is 60%
Plus.
and it's the highest rate among major U.S. racial groups. Okay, number 2 is white or non-Hispanic. And it says 50%. Second highest, okay, Hispanic and Latino is 45%. Lower than white and Black. Mm-hmm. Asian Americans are 30 to 35% lowest divorce rates, and then it says the Native American is between 50 and 65%. Varies widely, often comparable to Black rates. Okay. And the higher divorce rate in the Black community, according to this research, is often linked to complex factors like economic inequality, mass incarceration, lower marriage rates, and systemic barriers. Okay, and it says despite the higher rate, black couples who do marry tend to value strong family bonds, especially in faith-based and community-supported relationship. Okay, and it says many black adults are less likely to marry in the first place, partly due to financial instability, partner availability, and societal pressures. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about the statistics before we got deeper into our discussion.
Factors that greatly affect black marriages and how we overcome these factors applied to us, Joseph and Miriam. Okay. Number one, we're going to do a brief overview of this issue in the black community. The black community faces higher than average divorce rates. Root causes, as Joe went over, are economic inequities, mass incarceration, lower marriage rates, and systemic barriers. Okay, the reason that we're going to outline all these things because we want to provide practical, culturally relevant solutions for couples to overcome these challenges and build lasting marriages. Okay, let's talk about economic inequity. All right. One thing that and I'm speaking for myself and well Joe too, because we've talked about how in his household money was a major issue and how it was treated and how he had one of his litmus tests for us getting married was to see how he could trust me with money. And when he saw that, I get the money, I have a list of bills. Like to this day, I have a calendar with all the bills written on it, a list of bills, and that the money is going toward those bills. At any time, Joe gets his paycheck and he goes, well, Miriam, what did you pay? I can go A, B, C, D. This is what I paid. Right. This is how much is left. This is how much we're going to need. So we're going to have to get some money from somewhere else to meet the rest of the need. So in order to combat this issue, we have to come up and create budgets and financial goals because there are plenty of high earning black folk. There are a lot of black folk that like to say black folk don't make this, that black folk don't make that. That's bullcrap. There are several black millionaires in the country, and you can Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. They're the obvious ones. But there are plenty of black millionaires, plenty of black people who are doing very well financially. But unless you have a plan, that money's just going to drip through your hands. I think about people who win the lottery, and people actually do win the lottery. Most of the time, they win that lottery, and they're living year to year. If they're getting allotted payments each year, they're living year to year because they spent it all when it came. They were trying to take care of everybody. They were trying to do this. They were trying to do that. Or if they got the money in lump sums, I have seen so many stories about black and white and otherwise who got that money, that one lump sum, and within a year it was gone. And they're in a worse financial situation than they were in before. So as a people, we have to create budgets, a budget to live by, and create financial goals. Okay. I used to work with, I've told you about, about William Bradley with Bradley Sports. He's a young man close to his late 30s. And his thing was, I'm building my empire. I'm building my empire. And when I get finished doing that, that's when I'll think about marriage. And I used to say, well, baby, you got to have a life while you're building. Okay? So it's okay to put some things on hold while you're building your financial future. There was a time back in the old days, and when I say the old days, I'm not talking about the 1800s. I'm talking about in the 19s. that a young man, black or white, did not get married until he was able to afford to take care of a woman, take care of a wife. And that's something that we have gotten away from with the two income households. Okay? So we have to develop transparency and do teamwork around the money. You know, we've talked about how to make extra money. Joe does DoorDash, and we keep a strict account of what he makes. One, because we're going to have to pay taxes on that, and two, because we got to pay a tithe. And what's the point in making extra money if you're not doing with it what you're supposed to do? Even so-called extra money needs to have a plan put to it. Okay.
And now, correction, I do more Uber Eats than I do
excuse me.
DoorDash,
Yeah.
but
Same concept.
Yeah, same concept, but from time to time I'll do DoorDash. Now, I have witnessed, I guess in the workplace and just overhearing conversations, or even actually having conversations with individuals that financially they make way more than Miriam and I make as far as income, but they are very unhappy because they're not transparent. There's no transparency in
She
their
has her
relation.
money and he has his money.
And they do not have a joint financial budgeting plan. You know, they just, like Miriam said, it's like this, everything is just trickling out. And so,
Like a big bag with a hole in it.
yes,
There's no accountability.
No, yes, right. No accountability, and so by Miriam and I starting out our relationship financially very transparent. There was transparency from the beginning. It really helped us to have a foothold as far as starting our journey of building a successful marriage, okay, for and planning and making a blueprint for a legacy.
Now, do we have all the answers, or did we did everything perfectly? No,
No.
not at all.
No. So the main purpose of this video is for Miriam and I to highlight the blueprint that God gave us for establishing a legacy for a successful marriage, specifically a black marriage, specifically a middle-aged black marriage, okay, and how and the things that work for us as we navigated these issues that we're going to be going through in this outline. Okay.
Now, one thing I want to make 2 points about 2 of our children. Hannah, who's married to David, you all met she and David when we talked about cultural differences, because David is from Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
When they first got married a little over 2 years ago, like 2.5 years ago, Hannah handled the money, because that's what she grew up seeing, me handling the money. And apparently at some point the Holy Spirit spoke to her and said, ask David if he wants to handle the money. And she went to him and asked him that, and he was like, yeah, but you were doing it and you seemed comfortable, so I left it alone. And she gladly handed it over to them. And now he is the one that handles the money, but they talk about it. Our son Stephen, who's been married going on 3 years, I think it'll be 3 years in November, he is very much the man of the house when it comes to money. He makes the money. He has a calendar like his mama. He got that from me. And he pays the bill. He puts money in savings because he saw our financial struggles, and he's learning from the mistakes that we made. So when we make these comments about money and who handles the money, it's always best to let the person who's better at handling the money to handle it, okay? Whether that's the male or the female. It really doesn't matter as long as you're on one accord. Okay, let's talk about financial education and empowerment. One thing that we as a people that I feel like we need to do, we need to take financial literacy classes.
They need to teach that in school too.
Yeah, well, they used to back in the day, back in the 70s, we were taught how to balance a checkbook and all that kind of stuff. But that kind of thing is not, home economics is what it was
Yeah.
called back then. It's important that we as a people take it upon ourselves to take the financial literacy classes or coaching, or go to our elders, our middle-aged black couples, so to speak, and ask for advice. Back when we were doing marriage counseling, God, it's been 12 years ago now, the one thing that we would tell people, especially me, these young couples, they would say, well, I want her to eventually stay at home and raise the kids. And I would say, okay, start now. And they say, what do you mean start now? And the first thing I would say is, find a place to live that is supported by your income, that your check will be able to pay all the bills. And while she's still working, you bank her paycheck. That is your emergency fund. That is your savings. That way, when she comes out of work, you haven't missed her. You don't miss her salary because you never depended on it. And we used to give that advice to many couples, especially young black couples. And I can think of 3 or 4 offhand that took our advice, and they're doing very well right now. Okay, another thing that we need to do as a people is learn about credit, or
Yes.
some people call it credit. We have to learn about credit. We have to learn about investing, because by learning about credit and investing, the thing about credit, pay your bills. That's the first thing. Pay your bills and pay them on time. Now, things happen that the 15th might come, and for whatever reason you don't have the money. I remember back in the day, I used to think, well, if the 15th passed and we didn't have the money, then that blew up my credit. No, you have to learn things like, as long as you don't go a full 30 days past due, it won't hit your credit. You may get a late fee, but it won't hit your credit. We've got to learn these things and teach these things to our children, because one of the big conversations right now in the black community is generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Well, but how can you build generational wealth if you don't have financial literacy? You don't understand the credit system. You don't know how to invest. All these things are part of building generational wealth. I remember a couple
And let me say, let me add. Now, this is also the whole generational wealth thing is something that neither Miriam or I
didn't know about
were privy to.
Nope.
Okay, so
What we learned the hard way.
yes, everything that we're learning, we're learning the hard way, and we aren't people of privilege. Like some people may be privileged to where they are growing up where generational wealth has already been established for them, and that they can pretty much just step into a wealthy place already established. That's not
That wasn't us.
That's not our story right now.
And at this point, that's not our children's story.
Yeah, that's not
That's not our
their
children's
children,
story.
but our children's story. But we can say that we already see the signs that they are going to be better off than
we were.
We were.
One thing that I used to do when I homeschooled, during the 10 plus years that I homeschooled, when it was time for Joe to get his paycheck, go get his paycheck, he'd bring it home, and I would literally tell the kids, how much it is. We write it on the board. We say, okay, these are our expenses. And we take off the tithe. I taught them how to do tithe. You move the decimal point over one time. And they saw us. We paid our tithe. That was non-negotiable. Pay your tithe. And then I would bring out the bills. Now, some people might say that that was giving adult problems to children. No, they needed to learn. So we do all the bills, we do all the subtracting, and we come up with the amount that we had left. I made this part of school. And then we say, okay, this is how much we have left. Now, let's go in the house, figure out what it is that we need, that we're going to have to buy to keep us till our next paycheck. And we would go through the house and we would make a grocery list. And I taught them how to pull out their phone when we're in the store and add stuff up as you go. Because we said that we were going to spend this amount of money. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite stories, I may have told y'all this was back when cable was the thing. Rachel wanted a cable box in hers and Hannah's bedroom. And they asked me to find out how much it was going to be. So I called the cable company. Back then, I think it was Summit. It may have been Time Warner, I don't know. And found out how much that cable box was going to cost a month, and you'd be guaranteed that I was going to collect that money. And I remember Rachel was like, I think we can swing that, Hannah. I think we can swing it. And I remember Hannah going, not worth it to me. Not worth it to me. And that was another way I taught them financial literacy. You've got to figure out what is worth it to you. Another story, we were in Sam's and I was watching this knife display. You know how Sam's, they have the little kiosks set up and they're doing the different demonstrations. And so they were doing the demonstration for this knife set. And I was watching them, and they heard the price and they went, oh, Mama's not going to buy that. And I picked one up and they were like, you're going to spend all that money? And that's when I had to teach them about value. Sometimes it's about the value, and you have to spend the money to get the value. I still have those knives. Mm-hmm. That's been umpteen years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay. Career, support, and growth.
All right. So support each other's job growth or entrepreneurship. Yeah, and
building
now,
a business.
Yes. Now I can say that this is an area that Miriam has always provided support. Whether it was me, like when I first told her that I wanted to do carpet and furniture, clean full time, which that is something I did for years. She supported me 100%. And we were in agreement that once my income reached a certain level that I could leave my full-time job and pursue that business full-time.
Yeah.
And when it got to that point, she was 100% behind me.
Go out and do it.
And it was successful for many years.
For many years.
Yes. And even now, I'm about 4 months in on a new job position with the company I work for now, even though in the natural, that job...
Looking at that camera.
In the natural, that job does not yield as much income opportunities as the job that I
left. Take it.
Mm-hmm. But she supports me in it because I told her, Miriam, I'm burnt out. I was burnt out on this job and mentally, physically, emotionally,
completely burnt out after 7 or 8 years.
I needed a change, and see, that's what led to me working this job that gives me more enjoyment, but having to do my side stuff on the side just to make the ends meet. But she is supporting me in that. You know, I mean, I can see where another spouse would say, "You crazy? Why did you leave that job to go to this job where you making less money? You know, you should. You know, you need to go back to the other job."
And
You
to
know,
say that, that it didn't bother me would be a lie. But by the same token, I knew what he felt like he needed to do. And just like we were talking about entrepreneurship, me working at that gym before COVID hit, I was making really good money. And then when COVID hit, the gym basically closed down because when gyms reopened, they didn't really reopen. People weren't coming back like they were. And so when the gym closed, I was like, well, baby, I'm going to have to find another gym to work at. And he was like, no, we're gonna make you a studio here. And even though lately this year, I haven't been making as much money as I had in past years, we still put our money together. Because the thing that we do is we don't say, I go, well, Joe, we'll talk, because he really doesn't ask me a lot about money. What I'll do is when I get a payment, I'll say, okay, this will go toward this bill. So we work it together. To this day, I can tell you how much money Joe makes, but he can't tell you how much I make because he doesn't worry about that because he knows that I'm going to put it in the pot. It's not my money. Even when we were at the gym, when I was at the gym making good money, it still wasn't our money. My money. It was our money, and I put it away. Now, I did do that old-fashioned the she money, where you put a little bit away, gotta put some away for a rainy day. So often, especially now, I can't talk for all marriages, but in black marriages, there's so much of that. This is her money and this is my money instead of them working together. And I see that, as a detriment because I don't see how you gonna get anywhere together if you're kind of working against each other.
yeah, and another thing too that, and I know we're speaking mainly on black marriages, but I know this is in any marriage. A lot of what we're saying applies to any marriage. The worst thing that you can do is go into a marriage relationship with an escape plan.
Yes.
And, and that's what I see a lot of people doing. They have like an escape plan or an escape route.
Yep.
It's like, okay, if this doesn't work out, I know I'm making this much money, and that's why they always say this is my money. That's your money because they are holding out just in case.
Yep.
Just in case.
The first man that asked me to marry him was like, if it doesn't work out, we can just get a divorce. And I was like, nah, I'm not going into it with that attitude.
So let's go into this next thing. It
Okay,
says encourage.
encourage
continued education or skill building. That's one thing that Miriam can say I've always done with her. Like if she mentions, oh, I think I may want to do this or I may want to do that.
Certification.
So I'm always like, okay, are you ready to get certification now? Are you ready to get certification now? And then sometimes she'll say, I think I changed my mind.
I changed my mind.
I don't think I want to do that anymore. Whatever. But she can always say that I am supportive of any kind of continued education, skill building that she is interested in doing. Okay.
It's just about working together.
Yeah.
It's just about, because growing up, and I hope this doesn't sound racist or anything, but I used to see how Hispanic people would live 20 deep in one house. And I used to think, you put a bunch of black folk together like that, we gonna kill each other. Let's just get real. Yeah. But by the same token, what I saw of them as in my 20s and stuff, because when we worked for Rent-A-Center, which was bought out by Transamerica, there were some Hispanic people there that basically lived in the same house. And Minerva would tell me about how they get paid. They put everything in one pot. The bills are paid and then the money is distributed accordingly. But the man is always the one that really takes care of things. And I thought to myself, if black folk can get to the point where we're able to do something like that, we could own the world. But unfortunately, and get mad at me if you want to, but we as a people don't have that mentality. You got yours, I got mine, you better go out and get yours. But yet, they're the first ones to say, take somebody by the hand and help them. A lot of us don't do that. Okay. The next is mass incarceration impact that it's had on the community. That there needs to be healing and reintegration support. Seek counseling for trauma-related incarceration. Rebuild trust through communication and accountability. I have some issues with that particular topic. When I read it, I have some issues because in any group of people, you got people that don't want to do well. They want to take the quick road. They want to take the road. They want to take the road of least resistance. And when you have that attitude, you got to wonder, when these young men get out of prison, have they really learned? Have they truly been rehabilitated, or have they just been made harder?
Or young women.
Not
just young men, but young women too.
But when we talk about mass incarceration, unfortunately, we have to look at the fact that it's mostly black men who are incarcerated. Okay?
And fortunately, this hasn't really impacted our marriage directly. We have, of course, every family has people in their family, like people that they are related to, that they can say, oh yeah, I had a cousin or uncle or maybe even a brother or a sister or whatever. But we can say that it hasn't impacted
us directly, our nuclear family
directly.
But you've also got to make sure that the person who's has been incarcerated, been put in jail, been put in jail, been put in prison, you got to make sure that when they come out, do they want to do better? Do they want to, did they learn something there? Did they learn their lesson? Are they ready to walk the straight and narrow? Because, Joe tends to look at the world with rose-colored glasses, he and his sister Tanya. I don't. I look at somebody and I go, okay, you tell me what you gonna do. And then you show me a plan. Let's sit down and we work out a plan. I'm not gonna just instantly give somebody trust. I don't care whether they've been in prison or whatever. I'm not gonna instantly give anybody trust, because you got to find out what that person is made of, so to speak. But when you have a person who's willing to get their life together, get them help. Whether it's in a halfway house, well, we used to call it halfway houses. I don't know what it's called, but places like Teen Challenge, where they're willing to work the program, willing to seek counseling, willing to get trauma counseling for what got them there in the first place. And this may piss some folk off again, but personally, fathers in the home. Denzel Washington has even talked about is the father in the home. The father in the home makes a major difference. Major difference. And if that's one of the reasons that they were out in the street and they got in trouble because the father wasn't in the house and they need to work some things out, they need to get help so that they don't, recidivism rate. In other words, don't go do it again. And they've got to have people build trust in them through communication and accountability. Okay. Advocacy and community support. Get involved with community reentry programs. That's what I just talked about. Connect with couples and mentors who have overcome similar obstacles. That is so important. So important. Because every black couple out here, or every couple in general, has had issues, and you can come across someone that the man was in prison or the woman was in prison and they changed their life around. There is nothing like representation. This is something that I talked to Pastor David at church about. Representation. We need to have a model there. We got to have a model. And if these young people, middle-aged people, whoever coming out of these bad situations don't have a model, what do they have to look up to? What do they have to aspire to? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 4.
Okay, lower marriage rates, intentional dating and courtship, focus on values, emotional healing, and compatibility, avoid pressure, build emotional intimacy, and vision alignment. Now, this is one thing that Miriam and I we can do better at it as far as intentional dating, but we try to every now and then. Maybe we'll have a lunch date. We'll go out on a lunch date.
Like after we finish filming.
Yeah, sometimes
a lot of times we
Yeah.
head to Chipotle.
Yeah. A lot of times, after we shoot our videos, we'll say, Miriam say, "Hey Joe, let's go get something to eat," and we'll go sit down and get a bite to eat.
But the thing about, to me, that's not germane to this. Lower marriage rates, intentional dating and courtship. Young people right now don't know about dating. They don't understand the importance of the man opening the door for the lady. I remember when Stephen took this young girl to the fair. And I said, Stephen, when the car stops, you get out first. You open the door for her. And he opened the door for her. And she looked at him like, what you doing that for? I can open my own door. We need to teach our young men the importance of dating and courting a woman. That it's not all about jumping in bed. It's about getting to know her on a mental and spiritual level, finding out what they have in common. We have got to teach our young black men and our young black women how to date. When our kids were growing up, they would see us going out on dates. My sister Penny would come watch them, or I'd take them to Jessica and Rodney's and we'd go out on a date. They would see me getting dressed up for the date. And the one thing I did with my girls was when they were getting ready to go out somewhere, I'd make it a big deal about their hair, how they were going to look. And when both of our girls turned 12 or 13 years old, Joe took them out on a father-daughter date. And he showed them how they were supposed to be treated. He opened the door for them. He pulled out the chair for them. All that kind of stuff. We have got to teach our young women how they are to be treated. That our young women are not just sexual objects. That they are important. That their bodies are important. That they are not just sex slaves or sex machines, or that's not the only thing that they're good for. That part down there that God gave them is important. And not looking for love in all the wrong places. I gave you all my testimony about how I was looking for love in all the wrong places because I did not understand who I was and what I had and how valuable it was. But I tried my best to impose that into my girls and talk to the boys.
Yeah, like what Miriam was really saying, what a lot of what she was saying is like the point that it said, focus on values. Focus on values, emotional healing, and compatibility. Because too many times people get caught up in the exterior. You know, oh, they look so good. They smell so good. Or they saying all the right things. Yeah, but
And
you
don't
better,
get us wrong. Those things are important, but you got to get past those things.
yeah, I mean, you have to, like, peel off the layers. Like I told you, Miriam had all these layers.
Still
I
do.
mean, this woman was like an onion. I mean, I had
Still
to
am.
peel all these layers off. You know, you need to peel the layers off to find out, hey, what exactly
Is under there.
is under there, and what's going on with this person? Is this really the person that I want? That I'm looking at? I want to be looking at as far as a potential spouse. Is this really, you know? And yeah, avoid pressure. You know, if you feel like you're under pressure, if don't put them under pressure and don't allow them to put you under pressure.
Under pressure, yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, especially don't be pressured into a marriage.
And letting them pressure you into sex.
And build emotional intimacy first. Build that first, and make sure that you, like the last point it says, make sure your visions align. You know,
That you want some of the same things out of life.
Yeah.
Because I know growing up, my sisters, I love them dearly. They were basically single mothers. And we all took care of each other. And I remember making the decision very early that I was not going to have any kids until I had a husband, and that we stayed together.
Yeah.
And someone recently said to Rachel, our daughter Rachel, who's our third born, when we were all going to Agape, this child actually said to Rachel, your family is the only one that I knew that the father was in the home. And that just broke my heart. I ain't gonna lie, that broke my heart for someone to say that. And we aligned ourselves couple-wise, like with the Irbies, Joyce and Ed Irby, Jessica and Rodney Shepherd, because we wanted to show our kids and other kids that there are healthy black marriages where the mother and father are in the house together. Now, like I said, like I always say, we're not condemning divorce. We're not condemning that. We're talking about being an example as far as a black marriage is concerned. And that's not to put judgment on anybody in any way, shape, or form. I just want to make sure we get that across. Okay, redefining marriage. View marriage as a spiritual and legacy building partnership. Promote positive narratives around black love.
Now, this is one thing that this whole marriage hacks, this is one of the goals that when the Lord first put this idea in my mind, is that
his mind.
in my spirit, I wanted to be an example of. I wanted our lives to be positive, like this says, promote a positive narrative around black love. You know, Christian love, number one, over the black love. But I definitely wanted to show the black community that, hey, we can make it too.
Yep.
You know,
we can leave legacies too.
Yeah, we can leave legacies too.
Because you think about in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the black family was concrete. You know, we had our neighborhoods, we had stores, we had all this kind of thing, and everybody, well, Mom, I'm going over so-and-so's house, or if you got in trouble in my neighborhood, by the time you got home, every mama on the block had called your mama's house. And we, growing up in the 60s and 70s, we had concrete examples of black homes. Because growing up, to be honest with you, it was more of a oddity not to see daddy. Because all the people in my neighborhood, the parents were there. But that's just not the way it is anymore.
And you know that you are winning when your children, when they get of age and they say, you know, when I get married, I want to find a man like daddy, and then the son say, well, yeah, I want to find a wife like mama, you know, somebody that's like my mama. And when you know that they're looking at both
Of you.
and saying, oh, I want to find someone that has those qualities, you know that
You've done something right.
Yeah, you've done something right.
Or that you've done something wrong. Because if they say, I don't want to marry nobody like my dad.
No, I'm talking about the positive. I ain't talking about the negative. I'm talking
Okay.
about the positive things that you know you won, not that you lost.
Yeah, okay.
I ain't talking about losing. I'm talking about winning right now.
Okay. All right. Systemic barriers. Mental health, trauma, and healing. Normalize therapy, emotional wellness, and address generational wounds that affect intimacy and trust. Now, when I was growing up, black folk, we didn't get therapy. We went to church. But one thing I will give young people credit for nowadays is they will go get therapy if they need therapy. And I love that. I don't have anything against it, but I still know that there are some older black folk that turn their noses up finding out that somebody's going to get therapy. We as a people, we would say if it happens in our house, it stays in our house, don't you tell nobody, don't you do this, and it built a legacy of secrecy. So we have to establish therapy, going to therapy, that's okay, and emotional wellness. And you know, you've heard me over and over and over and over talk about healing hearts. And those are the kind of things, the generational wounds that can affect intimacy and trust. Those are the kind of things that we talk about in healing hearts. And going back to the representation thing, when God told me in class, literally, like it was talking in my ear, he said, I want you to teach this class. And when I was being kind of interviewed by Pastor David, one thing that you know about people that know about me, I don't play the race card. I don't deal with the race card. But as I was talking to him, I was like, we need another face. Because the facilitator and the two people that helped were white. And he said, but Miriam, we have ministered to all the people in the church. And I said, and there's nothing wrong with that. I said, but there needs to be more representation.
And I do want to talk a little more about just the actual word systemic. And systemic, the definition, it says a problem that is deeply rooted within the structure or a system. Okay? And when I started thinking about this, well, first let me go to a conversation that I had at work. Of course, you guys know that I am a public safety officer. Well, some of you guys know. At the hospital I work at. And so this guy was talking about how he open carries his weapon, and that's something that he agreed with, and that he's at peace with. And I told him, I said, Nathan, I said, I'm just going to be honest with you. I said, I'm more comfortable with concealed carry, especially as a man of color. I just don't feel comfortable walking around with a gun on my waist, especially as a man of color, because, I was thinking about it, because I know about the systemic barriers that I deal with as an African American. And I knew that if I walked around with a gun on my waist out in public, then that was gonna cause trouble to gravitate towards me. Okay, and I was like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. Not with me. I'm not going to be one that's gonna open carry my weapon. But we have to be like the old saying: if you don't know your past, you're going to relive the past. And so you have to know, like this says, generational wounds. So there's some generational wounds that are a part
Of our walk.
of our walk as African Americans. Now, one thing I can say, of course, we know the African Americans. We went through slavery, and that I will say about our people, we're very resilient people. Just like the Jews, they went through the Holocaust. They're very resilient people, and I think people as a whole are very resilient. The only issue is, I think, and I'm gonna say this with our people and people in general, your resilience pointed in the right direction
Is good.
is good, but pointed in the wrong direction can lead to
Problems.
extinction. Like a man, like the black man in the family. Like your resilience to womanize, your resilience
Tell it, baby.
to do the things that destroy a family.
That destroy a family.
And it's like there are some things that the African American family has been I'm trying to think preconditioned for because of all of the generational dysfunction that was over and over and over
and
again.
because they haven't been taught.
Yeah, they haven't been taught. And I will say that a lot of it stemmed from what happened in slavery, families being torn apart.
But you can't blame it all on that.
But you can't blame it all on that. But I'm saying that
Yeah.
was an impact. That was an impact. We can't not see that and know that happened. Okay? And that did impact the black family, the nucleus of the black family, nuclear family.
Yeah.
And that is something that we're still dealing with. And one thing that I wanted to just point to, but not stay on, was the fact that we're talking about systemic. When something is systemic, is deeply rooted within the structure of a system. And one thing that points to that is what happened, what Juneteenth is all about. Juneteenth celebrated on June 19th. It marks the day in 1865 when the last enslaved African Americans in the United States were finally informed of the freedom 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. And so that shows you of the deep rooted issue within the system, okay? And then it even said that Texas was one of the last strongholds of slavery. News of freedom had been delayed intentionally, and enslavers continued to exploit labor despite the Emancipation Proclamation of January 1st, 1863. So that just shows you, since systemic barriers are real. So people try to pretend like it's not real. And I'm not, like Miriam said, I'm not one that points the race card, but we're talking about issues that affects the black family,
the black community,
the black community.
And the thing that I said to Joe is, I think it's something I've mentioned to y'all before that I used to tell my kids. I used to tell them prejudice is always going to be with you, because the Bible even says, Jesus said the poor will always be with you.
Yep.
Prejudice is something that's always going to be there, but we have to fly above it like the eagles. Okay, we have to rise above it. I'm not going to live my life looking for a problem. I'm going to live my life knowing that I am an American, and that if you put me into a category, I am a black American. But I'm an American first. Mm-hmm. And if someone of a different color has problem with that, that's their problem. That's not my problem. And one of my issues is constantly talking about slavery, constantly talking about slavery, constantly talking about slavery. I had one friend when I was in school that at WSSU would get mad at Jewish people talking about the Holocaust. And I never will forget, I looked at her and said, well, don't you think Jewish people get tired of us talking about slavery? You got to get to the point where you know that that is part of your history. And without knowing your history, you are doomed to repeat it. That's just life. But don't wallow in it. Become who God called you to be. Because there's one thing that I used to tell Joe, what God has for us is for us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who is trying to stand in our way of getting it. As long as we walk uprightly before God, what he has for us is for us. And I can honestly say, and this might piss some people off, but the major occurrences in our lives have been brought about with the help of people who weren't black. But that's not to say that black folk haven't helped us. No, that's not to say that. But I'm saying that there have been times when that white person was in position to help us, and they were the ones that helped us. That's one thing about not looking at everything on a racial basis, because you never know. That next step that God has for you, it may come from an Asian. It may come from someone Hispanic. You never know who God is going to use to give you the next leg up.
That's right.
Okay. Community and faith-based support. Join support networks within the church, because you know the nucleus of black folk is the church. If you're Muslim, mosques, local groups. Find strength and tools in culturally aligned spaces. Because that's one thing. There's this one guy on Facebook that does videos. He does videos about how funny we as a people are. I look at some of the things that we as a people do, and it cracks me up. Like, he did this one video about if something tastes good, we just can't say it tastes good. We gotta dance. We gotta, oh Lord,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is good.
Right.
You know, how we react in different situations. If we see somebody running, we gonna look back. We gonna run too. I ain't asking no questions. I'm gonna take off. Because if it's bad enough that you got to run, pew. But there are things that we do culturally that I absolutely love. I love us as a people when it comes to those things that we have carried and the way we act in some situations, and being in the movie theater. I'm telling you, you're in the movie theater with a bunch of black folk, we're going to be talking back to the screen. What's you going in there for? Girl, you know you don't need to do that. You know, that may sound silly, but I love stuff like that. Education and awareness. Learn about systematic issues, or is that supposed to be systemic issues and how they affect relationship. Equip yourselves with knowledge and resilience building tools. Okay, number 6.
Building a strong marriage foundation, communication and conflict resolution, practice active listening and non-defensive communication, learn to resolve disagreements without damaging connection. You know, this is something we've talked about over and over again. We talked a lot about active listening, non-defensive communication, and
learning to resolve disagreements without, because we as a people, you piss us off, we'll cut you off in a heartbeat. I'll cut you off in a heartbeat. But one thing I can say, my sister Penny, or whoever, we could be mad at each other, but if that heifer calls me, even though I'm pissed off at her, and she needs me, I'm going to be there, Johnny on the spot. We get resolved, what needs to be resolved, then we can go back to being mad at each other. But you got to learn to disagree without damaging the connection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Spiritual and cultural unity. We're right at an hour now. Share in cultural practices, spirituality spiritual stuff and family traditions. Use faith and heritage to strengthen your bond. One of our family traditions is Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. That has
Yeah.
become a tradition that's ingrained in our family.
Yeah.
That's part of starting traditions.
Okay, vision alignment. Create shared goals. A relationship mission statement. Revisit and renew goals regularly as life evolves.
Now that one cracked me up. When
Why?
you read that, do a relationship statement. I'm like, okay, I never thought of it like that, but I guess
Yeah.
you could.
That's something that we can do. We should do that. Miriam and I should do that. We do have shared goals.
Yeah.
But a relationship
Yeah.
statement.
But
I
in
don't
other
think we-
words, put it in writing.
Yeah, put it in writing, write it
What
down.
you want to do.
Yes.
Like Habakkuk.
Yeah.
Write the vision, make it plain,
Make it
so
plain.
whoever reads it can run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just a relationship statement. Okay. Not to kill him today. Okay, conclusion. Marriage is possible and powerful within the black community. With intentionality, support, cultural resilience. I hate the term African American.
Well,
Black
African-American.
folk, black couples can overcome systemic challenges and thrive. It's just
Yeah.
about building a home, building a healthy home. Now, even in that, every person views life differently. One child's struggle may not be the other child's struggle. You did this to me, you didn't do that to her, but still be a family
Yeah.
and work through.
Well, this is the conclusion of today's episode.
Yep.
And I hope that we said something that was beneficial to you. And if so, like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Get other people to subscribe.
Share the videos.
Yes,
Share
yeah.
the videos.
Yes, share.
That last video that we did, and was it enduring something, which was the last video in our series about our marriage in particular. That one did really, really well. Even though it's not our number one video by any means, it did within like the first 2-3 days, we had more views than we've ever had. So share. And as always, come on, people, give us some ideas about what you want to see, what you want us to talk about, that kind of thing. Give us some ideas. Interact with us.
Yes, yes. All right. Until the next time,
Until the next time,
have
y'all.
a blessed and prosperous day.
Bye-bye.